Yes, I'm making bagels. Montreal style bagels. These are mahogany boards. I just get them wet so they don't, so the bagels don't stick to the boards and so they don't burn in the oven. It's a pot of boiling water, which I just added honey to, and I just put my first batch of bagels in the water. And it takes about, I guess, 5 to 7 minutes for the bagels to come to the surface of the water. Anybody a Mystery Science Theater 3000 fan? I was watching the first episode of the new season on Netflix yesterday. I quite enjoy that show. I think they did a good job of casting the new host for I think his name's Joel, the main character. Funny comedian, a decent rapper. I remember watching when I was in university. I watched Mystery Science Theater 3000 all the time. It's a great way to waste time. It's a great way to procrastinate. apologize for the audio. I know it's not great. I need to buy I think I need to buy like a lavalier mic. I need something that's Bluetooth though. It's all good. I don't know, somebody was complaining about it yesterday. I'm going to take my first batch out of the water. It's 30 bagels in a batch. Oh, it's not wax. It's just water, actually. It just sort of glistens on the surface. I know it sort of looks like wax, but it's actually just water. I put honey in the pot earlier, if that's what you're thinking was wax. We use a dark amber honey. I guess that might look like wax. I'm putting the bagels on the mahogany board so that I can put them in the oven. And they sit on the boards for about five minutes. And then I flip them off the boards onto the deck of the oven. And the boards are there just to get the bagels into the oven. And this first stage, they just need to be hot. I don't want them to brown at all at this point. I just want them to get big and fat. So yeah, now that they're sitting close to the flame, and I'll flip them off the boards after about 5 minutes. And while those bagels are expanding, proofing, I'll add more bagels to the water once it comes to rolling boil again. So I'm just going to wait until it boils. While I wait for it to boil, I clean up. The oven is set at, it's about 400 degrees Fahrenheit at about the back of the oven. It's about 350 at the front. It's quite a difference. There's a range of temperatures in the oven, so that's it's sort of hottest in the front corner. And the flames, I have the flames set at about a medium flame, medium height. So on the dial, it's about a 3 out of 5, so it's about in the middle. So I'm about to add another 30 bagels to water. Just gonna wait for it. Temperature of my oven's a little bit high, so I sort of have the flame set a little bit lower than I usually have them, just because my oven's a little bit hot. It's about 10 degrees higher than I want it to be. But this oven, these ovens, the temperature fluctuates in the morning, and then once I start my second rotation of baking, the temperature is a lot more consistent, because the heat is sort of sunk into all the surfaces of the oven. So I'm going to add my second batch. Yeah, we don't have our commissary on this location, so we have to bring the bagels here frozen. Everybody has their opinion about freezing the bagels. I don't feel like it's a big deal. Some people, it's a lot of. It'd be nice to be able to roll them on site. Yes, they're frozen. They're completely frozen when I add them to the water. If they were, I have boiled batches where the bagels haven't been frozen, and it takes half the time for them to boil, and they get. I guess they get a little bit fatter. They're a little bit fatter, but they're not. It doesn't make a huge difference. We don't have the space to roll them here. We use a machine to roll them. I know there's the Montreal bagels you'll get in Montreal would be hand rolled, and they'd probably be boiled. They probably wouldn't have been frozen, but now I'm going to move them into. I'm going to move these bagels that aren't in the hottest part of the oven. I'm going to move them closer to the back, so they get more even distribution of heat and flame. This long paddle is called a shiva. bit of a bow in it. I guess about 20 minutes. I sort of just go by observation though. I don't often time them. But yeah, I think it's about 20 minutes. It's like, so it's 5 minutes in the pot, and then 5 minutes here, 2 or 3 minutes in the second row or column, and then it's about 10 minutes to brown on each side. So, well, a little bit less than 10 minutes, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. Between 20 minutes and 25 minutes, I guess. But I always have more than one batch going at one time. So I have to get the boards wet because otherwise the bagels will stick to the board. And it also prevents the boards from burning. Yeah. Because the boards are close to the flame, so it's always to get them good and wet before you put them in the oven so they don't, it preserves them a little bit longer if you keep them wet. They don't burn up as quickly. Each board lasts about, I don't know, I guess about 2 months per board. So if you can see in the oven, these bagels are getting big and fat, and they're going to start to brown slightly. And then once all the bagels have browned, I'll flip them again and let them brown on the other side. And then I take them out of the oven. I have to sweep out the oven because when I flip the bagels off the boards, they can sometimes still be wet on top, and anywhere it's wet on the surface of the bagel will pick up seeds. So I have to keep the oven fairly clean. In an 8-hour shift, I'll make about 1,000 bagels. Today we're busiest on weekends. Friday, Saturday, Sunday are our busiest days, and those days we often bake about 1,500, I think. But we have 2 bakers on those days, so I don't bake that entire amount. I usually do about 1,000 in the morning. I'm doing plain and poppy right now, and sesame and everything are in the oven right now. And I'm going to put rosemary rock salt in next. Sorry, I missed your comment. So again, I'm gonna wait for the water to come to a rolling boil again. Oh, thanks for watching. I'm here most mornings. I work 4 to 5 days a week, so I sometimes recite poetry, if you're interested in that. I don't have a lot to say, but I'll try to respond to every comment that comes in if I see it. Yeah, I'm glad to be able to share this with other people. It's a fairly unique skill. I don't think, obviously there's people doing this around in other places in the world, but it's a unique skill. It's a unique way of baking. Makes a unique product. It's a spectacle to watch if you ever come into the bakery. You don't get a good view of what, like when I flip the bagels off the board, they fly. I put them into these they go into these milk crates. That takes some skill to do that. So those bagels right there are just starting to turn brown, and these ones they're getting fat, and they'll get a little bit of browning on the edges, but excuse me. We'll flip them off before they get too brown. My pot of water is almost back to a rolling boil. Once the water is rolling, I'll put another batch in. get more bagels. Making bagels. Yes, bagels. Yeah. Bagels. A bit of a bow in it. Makes it hard to pick up the bagels. Artisanal, yeah. Sorry. Yes, it takes some skill, and it took me a while to learn how to do it. The hardest part is learning how to handle the shiva. What's the popular one? What are you talking about? The popular bagel cafe, like These are Montreal style bagels. Oh, flavor. Our most flavor popular is our namesake, the rosemary rock salt bagel. Rosemary rock salt. And it's just like a plain dough with rosemary mixed into the dough with salt on top. Rosemary rock salt. Pretzels? No, we don't make pretzels. We're looking into making more products right now. We're just in the process of opening another bakery on Commercial Drive in Vancouver. And once we have our commissary open, we'll be able to do more things like that. Yeah. Yeah, this is just a modified pizza oven, so it's like there's a lot we could do with it. It's just right now our commissary is limited until we open our new store. Once our commissary is open, we'll be able to develop new products. We're a fairly young company. Sorry, I missed your comment. Yeah, it's fun. It's hard work though. It's the hours are pretty extreme. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I start my shift at 4, and I work until it's just water. It's so the bagels don't stick to the if I don't put if the boards are not wet, the bagels will stick to the boards, and it also prevents the boards from burning because they're pretty close to the flame. Yeah, it's interesting work. We're trying. It's sort of challenging finding people that want to do it because the hours are hard. You have to adjust. You have to adapt yourself to the hours. You have to be a morning person, for sure. So these are rosemary rock salt bagels, and I only take half the batch out because you want the bagels to be wet when you put the salt on. That way the salt sticks to the bagels. There's 30 bagels in a batch usually. Yeah, not many places are doing this kind of baking. The place where it's best known is Montreal. Although there's a bagel place in Seattle that does it like us. They're called Altana bagels. The rosemary's already in the bagel, and then I put salt on top. So yeah, the rosemary rock salt is just a plain dough with rosemary in the dough with rock salt sprinkled on top. So now I have 3 batches in the oven. My first batch is almost ready to come out of the oven. It's almost browned on both sides. Yeah, the dough gets boiled. It's I boil it for about 5 minutes. Boiling is really important to bagels because that's what gives it the nice hard crust on there. The oven, they bake for about 20 minutes in the oven. So about 5 to 7 minutes in the pot, and then it's about 20 minutes in the oven, depending on how hot the oven is and how high the flames are set. Like everything is variable. So my job is to, make sure that the bagels are getting an even distribution of heat and are in the flame. The oven, my oven, the temperature it says on the front of the oven, it says 380 degrees, but the temperature is actually about 400 degrees Fahrenheit at the back and about 350 at the front. There's a lot of variability in the oven, so like closer to the door it's a lot cooler, and near the back of the oven it's a lot hotter. No, this is a gas fire oven. We're based on there's a bagel bakery that came before us called Siegel's Bagels, and Siegel's, they use a wood fire oven, but we use gas fire just because it's more practical. You don't have to deal with a dirty fuel source. Wood, you have to haul it in. It's a lot of extra work, right? So, I know it's more authentic. Montreal style bagels are known for being wood fired, but it's just more practical. So I'm about to take out my first batch. That was my first batch. So I still have 2 batches in the oven, just waiting for this one to brown, and then I'm going to flip it and let it brown on the other side. And then these ones on the boards are about ready, but not quite. And I'm going to put my 4th batch into the water now. These are almost gluten-free rosemary rock salt. So they're a mix of potato flour and rice flour. Sorry, I missed your comments there. Yeah, the boards are mahogany, and mahogany it's a hard wood, so it lasts quite a bit longer. And cut a bagel first. I gotta wait. I'm gonna wait until I change my gloves, and I'll show you a bagel once I've changed my gloves. But I'm just gonna wait. I still have a few things to do before I can do that. Another reason I wet the boards is to keep them cool. They come out of the hot pretty hot. You can see the steam coming off the boards. Each board will last about 2 or 3 months. We sort of rotate them so that this board gets burnt up the fastest because it's closest to the flame. And then once this board is deteriorated, we cycle it into the next. It becomes our brace board, and then I've been keeping the boards. I've been trying to find a carpenter or somebody that wants to use these boards for. I don't know. You can make planters out of them or whatever. Right? It's beautiful. It's really beautiful wood. It's worth reusing for sure. Problem is, I'm not a carpenter, and I haven't found anybody that wants to use it yet. So if anybody's in the Vancouver area that wants to use old burnt mahogany boards in their carpentry, feel free to come and drop by. And I'll give it to you for free. I don't know why this shim is on, it's bent out of shape. So I have 60 bagels in the oven right now. Hey, that's a good idea. I should, yeah, I'm not sure what Habitat Humanity would use it for. I guess, yeah, there's some kind of, in Vancouver there's a place called Restore, I think, and they do recycling and reusing. Now, I have a big pile of burnt wood right now, and I need to get rid of it. So I should just take it down to them and see if they could use it for something. Sorry, I missed your comment there. Sorry. Skateboards, yeah. I don't know. It's pretty weak wood, though. I don't know. You'd have to do something to it to strengthen it, though. You'd have to reinforce it somehow. Yeah, I know. It's such a beautiful material, and it's so, yeah, you can use it for so many things, right? These boards are not cheap either, so it would be nice to get, you know, continued use out of them. I also have a big pile of these shivas at home. I need to find something to do with those too. I made planters for myself last year, but there's only so many planters a man needs in his life. So yes, we make sandwiches and we sell bagels by the dozen. We also have soup, French fries, yam fries, poutine. We're working on expanding our product product catalog. I don't know what to say. So I have to bend over to read your comments because this is my phone, so it's hard to read the text. Yeah, we have lox and cream cheese, which is my personal favorite. I'm a pescatarian, I guess you'd call me, because I'm mostly vegetarian, but I eat fish. So I eat the lox and cream. The lox, I actually eat it with hummus, so I eat lox and hummus. Some people might find that gross, but I find it delicious. So yeah, we have a lox and cream cheese. We have a vegetarian sandwich. We have 3 breakfast sandwiches, a skinny, a big breakfast, a morning bagel, and then we have Montreal smoked meat. But like I said, I'm a vegetarian, so I don't eat that. We also have a club sandwich with turkey on it. And we have the turkey sandwich. So I'm here in the morning by myself for 2 hours before the artisans come. The meat it's a Montreal smoked meat. It's sort of like it's like a corned beef. When I first started here, I tried it, and I don't know, it just tastes like processed beef, or like it tastes like corned beef, or whatever. So if you like meat, it's delicious, I guess. But like I said, I'm a vegetarian, so I don't eat it. He is on the bagel train. So these are the almost gluten-free bagels. We call them almost gluten-free because they contain they have malt barley flour, and they also come in contact with our wheat bagels, so there's no real point in us having a completely gluten-free bagel. Sorry, I'm missing all your comments here. bagels in the oven. I just put almost gluten-free into the oven. And now I'm just cleaning the table. Oh yeah, that was a mix. With the almost gluten-free, we don't sell a lot of them, so there's I do rock salt at the front, and I do sesame, and I do everything. So I'm just going to change my gloves here. Thump. It's a gas-fired oven. There's a plain bagel. And this is sesame. That's poppy. And that was everything. This one. There's still steamy. How much does a bagel maker make? It's okay. I don't know. It's hard work for enough to live fairly comfortably in Vancouver City. Oh, bagel chips. Yeah, we used to make bagel chips. We stopped making them, but it's mostly because it's hard to find. It's hard to find enough workers here that want to do this job. So it's extra labor that we just haven't been able to spend money on. We might bring them back though. Yeah, if you want to apply, we're hiring. If you live in Vancouver, you can certainly apply. Yeah, even if you're new, as long as you're able to perform the job, that's the only requirement we have. Yeah, we train people here. We like to hire people with some experience, but if you don't have experience, we won't hold that against you. We need people. I like bagels. I tend to eat the almost gluten-free bagels mostly though. I eat a bagel every day. I usually I'll get it with lox. Like I said, I like lox and hummus. Yeah, I eat the bagels for sure. These are egg bagels. They do contain eggs. I've been trying to. Hopefully, when we open our new commissary, we're going to introduce. No, they haven't been pre-boiled. We're going to introduce a vegan bagel eventually. One without the eggs. It won't be completely vegan because it'll still be boiled in water that has honey in it, but. We make them in a commissary at another location. Sorry, I missed that comment. I'm going to recite a poem. It's one of the things I do in the morning as a sort of a mental exercise. The bagels last, you can freeze them for as long as you want. They last on the counter for about, I don't know, 2 or 3 days. They don't have any preservatives in them. So they tend to go a little bit, they go hard after 1 or 2 days. So they're best eaten within 1 or 2 days of them being baked. I think the real thing with bagels is you want to eat them right after they come out of the oven, but I mean, not everybody is able to do that. Sorry, that's an NFSW question. I am at work right now. Can't really answer that for you. Anyways, I usually recite a really long poem in the morning called, it's by Robert Browning, Pied Piper of Hamelin. I just do it as a mental exercise, a way of getting my brain working in the morning. So I'm going to do that for the next 5 or 10 minutes. And then I'm going to shut the stream down for the day. Hamelin, towns in Brunswick, by famous Hanover city. The river western deep and wide washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you never spied. But when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago, to see the townsfolk suffer so from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats and bit the babies in the cradles, and ate the cheeses from the vats and licked the soup from the cook's old ladles, split open the kegs of salted sprats, and the nesting men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning out their speaking, shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flats. At last the people in a body to the town hall came flocking. 'Tis clear, cried they, our mayors and naughty, and as for our corporation, shocking, to think we buy gowns lined with ermine, for dolts who can't or won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you're old and obese to find in the furry civic robes ease. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking, to find the remedy we are lacking, or sure as fate will send you packing. At this American corporation quaked the mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council, at length the mayor broke silence. For a gilder eyed my ermine gown south. I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one rack one's brain. I'm sure my poor head aches again. I scratch it so, but all in vain. Oh, for a trap, a trap, a trap. Just as he said this, much tap at the chamber door, but a gentle tap. Bless us, cried the mayor. What's that? With the corporation as he sat, looking little through wondrous fat. Nor brighter were his eyes, nor moister than too long opened oyster, save when I knew his conjugal muteness, or plate of turbid green and glutinous, only a scraping of shoes on a mat. Anything like the sound of a rat makes my heart go pit-a-pat. Come in, cried the mayor, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure. His long queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red, and he himself was tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes, each like a pin, and light loose hair and swarthy skin, nor tuft of hair on cheek nor beard on chin. The lips were smiling out and in. There was no guessing his kith or kin, and nobody could enough admire this tall man in his quaint attire. Quoth one, it's as my great-grandsire, starting up at the trunk of Doom's tome, had walked this way from his painted tombstone. He advanced towards the council table, and please, your honor, said he, I am able, by means of secret charm, to draw all the creatures living beneath the sun, that crawl or swim or fly or run, after me so as you never saw. And I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm, the mole and toad and newt and viper, and people call me the Pied Piper. And here they notice round his neck a scarf of red and yellow stripe, to match with his coat of self-same check. And that scarf's end hung a pipe, and his fingers they noticed were ever straying, as if impatient to be playing upon this pipe, as low it dangled over his vesture so old-fangled. Yes, said he, Pied Piper as I am, in Tartary I fred the cam, last June from his huge swarms of gnats. I eased in Asia the Nizam, of a monstrous brood of vampire bats. And as for what your brain bewilders, if I rid your town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders? 50,000 was the exclamation of an astonished mayor and corporation. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in his quiet pipe the while. Like a musical adept, to blow his pipe his lips he'd wrinkle, and green and blue his sharp eyes twinkled, like a candle flame where salt is sprinkled. And ere 3 shrill notes the pipe uttered, you heard as if an army muttered, and a muttering grew to a grumbling, and a grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out of the houses came the rats tumbling, great rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, grey rats, tawny rats, grave old plotters, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, cocking tails and pricking whiskers, families by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, families by tens, fathers, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed by piper for their lives. From street to street he piped advancing, and step for step they followed dancing, until they came to the river Weser, wherein all plunged and perished, save one who stout as Julius Caesar swam across the lift to carry, as he the manuscript he cherished, to that lad home his commentary, which was, at first shrill notes of the pipe, I heard a sound as of scraping tripe, and putting apples wondrous ripe into the cider presses gripe, and a moving away of pickle tub boards, and a leaving a jar of conserve cupboards, and a drawing the corks of train oil flasks, and a breaking the hoops of butter casks, and it seemed as if a voice sweeter far than by harp or by psalteries breathed, called out, oh, rats, rejoice, the world has grown to a vast dry saltery, so munch on, crunch on, take your nunch on, breakfast, supper, dinner, lunch on, and just a bulky sugar punch on, already staved like a great sun shone, gracious, scarce an inch before me, just as methought it said, come before me, I found the Weser rolling over me. You should have heard the Hamlet people ring the bells till they rocked the steeple. Go, cried the mayor, get long poles, poke out the nests and block up the holes, consult with carpenters and builders, and leave in our town not even a trace of the rats, when suddenly up the face of the piper perked in the marketplace, with a first, if you please, my 1,000 guilders. 1,000 guilders, the mayor looked blue, so did the corporation too. Our council dinners may wear havoc, with claret, moselle, vin de gras, hock, and half the money would replenish their cellar's biggest butt of Rhenish, to pay this sum to a wondering fellow, with gypsy coats of red and yellow. Besides, quoth the mayor with a knowing wink, our business was done at the river's brink. We saw with our eyes the vermin sink, and what's dead can't come to life, I think. So, friend, we're not folks to shrink from our duty of giving you something to drink, and a matter of money to put in your poke. But as for the guilders, what we spoke of them, as you well know, wasn't joke. Besides, our losses have made us thrifty. 1,000 guilders, come, take 50. The piper's face fell and he cried, no trifling, I can't wait beside. I promise a visit by dinner time, Baghdad, and accept the prime of the head cook's pottage. All he's rich in, for having left in the caliph's kitchen, of a nest of scorpions, no survivor. With him I prove no bargain driver, which you don't think I'll pay to stiver. The folks who put me in a passion may find me pipe after another fashion. How, cried the mayor, do you think I brook, being worse treated than a cook, insulted by or ribald, with idle pipe and vesture piebald? Threaten us, fellow, do your worst, blow your pipe there till you burst. Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe of smooth straight cane, and ere he blew three out sweet notes, such sweet soft notes as the accusations cunning never gave the enraptured air. There was a rustling that seemed like a bustling of merry crowds jostling and pitching and hustling. Small feet were pattering, wooden shoes clattering, little hands clapping, and little tongues chattering, and like foals in a farmyard with barley is scattering, out came the children running, all the little boys and girls, with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls, and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls, tripping and skipping ran merrily after, the wonderful music was shouting and laughter. The mayor was dumb and the council stood as if they were chained to the blocks of wood, unable to move a step or cry, to the children merrily skipping by, could only follow with an eye that joyous pat on the piper's back, and how the mayor was on the rack, and the wretched council's bosoms beat, as the piper turned from the high street, to where the Weser rolled its waters, right in the way of their sons and daughters. However, he turned from south to west, and to Koppelberg Hill his steps addressed, and after him the children pressed, great was the joy in every breast. He never can cross the mighty top, he's forced to let the piping drop, and we shall see our children stop, when lo they reach the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hollowed. The piper advanced and the children followed, and when all were in to the very last, the door in the mountainside shut fast. Did I say all? No, one was lame, and could not dance a whole of the way. In and after years, if you would blame his sadness, he was used to say, it is dull in our town since my playmates left. I can't forget that I'm bereft of all the pleasant sights they see, which the piper also promised me. For he led us, he said, to a joyous land, joining the town in jest at hand, where waters gushed and fruit trees grew, and flowers put forth a fairer hue, and everything was strange and new. The sparrow was brighter than the peacock here, and their dogs outran our fellow deer, and honeybees had lost their stings, and horses were born with eagle's wings, and just as I became assured my lame foot would be speedily cured, the music stopped and I stood still, and found myself outside the hill, left behind against my will, to go now limping as before, and never hear of that country more. Alas, alas for Hamelin, there came into many a burgher's pate a text which says at heaven's gate, opes to the rich at as easy rate as the needle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor sent east, west, north, and south to offer the piper by word of mouth, wherever it was men's lot to find him, silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he'd return the way he went, and bring the children behind him. But when they saw 'twas lost endeavor, the piper and dancers were gone forever, they made a decree that lawyers never to think their records dated duly, if after the day of the month and year, these words do not as well appear. And so long after what happened here, on the 22nd of July, 1376, and the better in memory to fix, the place of the children's last retreat, they called it the Pied Piper Street, where anyone playing piper tabor was sure for his future to lose his labor, nor suffered they hostelry or tavern to shock with mirth the street so solemn. And opposite the place of the cavern, they wrote the story on a column, and on great church windows painted, the same to make the world acquainted, how their children were stolen away, and there it stands to this very day. And I must not omit to say that in Transylvania there is a tribe of alien people who ascribe their way and dress, of which their neighbors lay such stress, to their fathers and mothers having risen out of some subterranean prison, into which they were trepanned long time ago in a mighty band, out of Hamelin time in Brunswick land, but how or why they don't understand. That's the poem. It's 300 lines long. It's by Robert Browning, the Pied Piper of Hamelin. It is a parable. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite poems. I'm currently learning his other, there's another long poem by Robert Browning, which is called To a Dark Tower Child Roland Came, and I'm learning that one too. It took me about a month to like memorize the whole poem, and then like I needed to practice it over and over again to get it. Yeah, it took me about a month to memorize the whole poem. But I didn't have a lot of time. I think I could memorize things faster if I like sat there and like really focused on it. But I usually only do it like right before bed. I'll do about an hour of like memorization work. I'm getting faster at it though. I just started doing it, and I've noticed that I've improved quite a bit since I started. Trying to build up my repertoire. I know a few other poems. That's the poem the longest poem I know from memory. Yeah, I want to be on YouTube. I'm waiting for them to put out like they need to start doing the live stuff. But Thanks for watching. I'm gonna shut down the stream pretty soon here, but I'll be back tomorrow morning. And then I have a couple days off, and then I'll be back for another week. I know there's another one I can recite is it's a sketch from Kids in the Hall. How's it go? One day God said, this is what I'll do. I'll send down my son. I'll send him down to you to clear up this humpity-bumpity hullabaloo. His name will be Christ and he'll never wear shoes. And his pals will all call him the King of the Jews. He didn't come in a plane. He didn't come in a jeep. He didn't come in the pouch of high-jumping Bo Peep. He rode on the back of a black Saskatoon, the blackest creature you ever could view. He rode into Jerusalem, home of the grumpy Jews, where false prophets were worshipped, some even in twos. There was Murray von Murr and Genghis Vaubouz, the one you could worship taking a snooze. Christ spoke from a mound, which is a pile of ground. The people gathered around without making a sound. Thus he spake, sin in socks, socks full of sin. How shall we quiet this Jehovah-dy din? Do unto others as others do unto you. And that includes you, Timothy Foo. And one Pharisee said to another he knew, what shall we do about this uppity Jew? Wash him in wine and make him all clean. And into Sam Vittle's crucifixion machine, twirl the girl and release the glees, and in go the nails as fast as it please. And instead he said as he bled, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do, because they walk through this world wearing too crappity shoes. Do you? That's my kids in the hall. That's the Dr. Zeus Bible. It's my favorite Kids in the Hall skit of all time.